Today I'm reacting to your WrestleMania 41 Night 1 Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether they're good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. Which means, yes, I will be doing an episode of Hot Takes immediately after Night 2 WrestleMania, so make sure that you're following over there. By the way, if you are looking for my full review of WrestleMania 41 with footage, it's already up and available on the Patreon, and I'll be doing the exact same thing for Night 2 as well. I go into a lot more detail over there, and over there we also upload the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and a whole bunch of different pieces of content that never get uploaded here because they would just get blocked due to copyright. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap, link in the description, link in the pinned comment. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's read your stupid shit. Seth Rollins was already a main eventer, but it felt like there was something missing. Making him a Paul Heyman guy will cement Seth as an attraction. So I actually agree with you here. I always felt like there was something missing from Seth Rollins. Not missing in the sense that he needed more to become a main eventer or a WWE Hall of Famer or one of WWE's most popular superstars, but there was a piece of the puzzle missing that prevented him from being able to take the leap forward to achieve the same level of pantheonship as his peers Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. But I do believe that he took that step forward in the Night 1 main event. And I'm not necessarily married to the idea that it's because he's a Paul Heyman guy. I don't even know if I love the idea of Seth Rollins being a Paul Heyman guy. And I think I don't know that I love it because I don't really understand why it's happened yet. But I know that there's still so much more of this story to unfold. Some that might even unfold in the Night 2 main event. Because I don't think it's just as simple as Paul Heyman decided to side with Seth Rollins. I really believe that there's still way more layers to unpack here. But I did walk away from this main event thinking that this is the most like an uber mega superstar that Seth Rollins has ever felt. Oh my lord. This is one of the best, most unexpected endings to a WrestleMania that I've ever seen. The storytelling of Heyman slowly making his actual choice and his ultimate decision slowly building near the end was just the cherry on top. Absolutely amazing main event. So all of the stuff that happened with Paul Heyman in the final 5 minutes of this match is what everyone is talking about, but I don't want that to deter from the fact that this, without the Paul Heyman stuff, was an absolutely banger of a match, an absolutely fantastic main event in its own right. The Paul Heyman stuff just took it from a fantastic match to a legendary WrestleMania main event that we're going to talk about for years to come. But yes, the way that things played out with Paul Heyman, I had a feeling that he was going to betray both Roman Reigns and CM Punk, but not in the sense that he would join Seth Rollins. That was never on my bingo card. I always felt like Paul Heyman was going to cost Punk and Roman the match, but I really was not expecting him to truly make Seth Rollins a Paul Heyman guy. I see people online saying that this was incredibly obvious. Like, how could you not see this coming? I'm sorry. I just straight up didn't. I predicted Seth Rollins to win, but for them to take this bold of a move and have Paul Heyman betray his best friend and betray the guy that over the past 5 years he has molded into a megastar for the WWE, for Seth Rollins, I just didn't see it. The New Day versus War Raiders was not a WrestleMania worthy match. It's a shame because had they actually built this was a fine match. I would have walked away pretty happy because we got the right winner and we got a decent enough match. I just couldn't care. There was nothing the WWE could do to make me care about this match because the WWE themselves didn't care about this match. This was just a glorified advertisement for Clash of Clans. Honestly, this would have hit so much better and probably would have been far better received had the New Day won the World Tag titles in the night after WrestleMania, Raw after WrestleMania. I do think it's funny that the second they won, they grabbed those titles and bolted out of there, almost as if they knew that if they lingered around too much celebrating, that fans were going to expect Big E, and they're like, no, we can't create this expectation. Let's just get them the hell out of there. The Bayley situation is mind-boggling. Yes, the Bayley situation is absolutely bizarre. She has been written off of WrestleMania 41, not actually injured, just straight up written off, which I think is so disrespectful to do this last minute to a legend of the status of Bayley. I think the biggest assumption is that it's going to be Becky Lynch, and if that's the case, honestly, Becky Lynch is a bigger star than Bayley, but she's not that much bigger that warrants completely writing off Bayley out of this storyline storyline. And if you're just gonna do this in the first place, why not continue with Bayley versus Roxanne Perez as a WrestleMania program like you teased all of these months anyway? I think it's such a bummer to treat somebody like Bayley like this. I really believe that at the very minimum, she deserved to be in this match. And I do believe that whoever replaces Bayley, I think there's gonna be a sour spot about them because of how this situation was handled. I heard you saying, why would Paul align with Seth on Twitch? But on Raw, Seth just pointed out how both Roman and Punk are just using him. It had nothing to do with the stomp. Fair enough, but that doesn't explain why he aligns with Seth. You just simply explained why he separated himself from Roman Reigns and CM Punk, the thing that all of us pretty much expected. I still do not know why he would align with Seth Rollins, and that is the part of the story that I'm really excited to be exploring more, either in the Night 2 main event or on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. I loved everything about El Grande Americano character. The entrance, the voiceover vignettes, the in-ring work, his motivations, all of it. Glad they didn't unmask him tonight and end the run. The second that Rey Mysterio was announced to not be in this match, I just knew that El Grande Americano was going to win, because to me, the payoff of this character has to be against Rey Mysterio. No disrespect to Ray Fenix, of course, because he was fantastic in this last-minute addition for the match. But man, El Grande Americano was one of the highlights of this show. The entrance had me gut-busting laughing. The AI voiceover was one of the dumbest, funniest things that I've seen in WrestleMania as well. I'm glad that he didn't get unmasked. I'm glad that this storyline is going to continue, because it's one of the bigger bright spots on Monday Night Raw. Like, it genuinely is. It's one of the storylines that I look forward to developing every single week. And again, this story needs to end with Rey Mysterio, not with Ray Fenix, who barely has any attachment or storyline with El Grande Americano as it is. I do think that it would have been a disservice to the overall story that they had been building had Ray Fenix been the one to beat and unmask El Grande Americano. The main event saved the show. I actually think that the show was better than people are giving it credit for. I just feel like the show just didn't have the crazy, insane moments, and the main event certainly provided that, because I felt the Jey Uso match was fine and it was the correct decision. I felt like the Jacob Fatu match was great. I felt like the Jade Cargill and Naomi match was great. El Grande Americano Ray Fenix was great. Sure, there were some low points, but I didn't feel like the show needed saving. It felt like it needed saving because the crowd felt like they needed saving, but this main event absolutely gave this show the accent that it absolutely needed for it to be remembered as a positive WrestleMania night. This is unreal. This is so good. Oh my God. Dude, here we go.
Man, there it is.
That's what we live for. That's a good moment. That was beautiful. Psych! That was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club WrestleMania edition, available exclusively on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week we're looking at Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, Bloodline Rules WrestleMania 40. God damn it, it's just as good as I remembered. The legendary match between The Rock and Hollywood Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. The technical classic between Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 19. The WrestleMania 23 Money in the Bank ladder match. And part 3 of the trilogy that was Stone Cold versus The Rock at WrestleMania 19. You'll be getting all of these, plus all the other matches that we've already done, plus the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, the currently ongoing and almost done Undertaker WrestleMania match review, the currently ongoing Royal Rumble reviews that we're doing, and so much more, all over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This is all content that we can never upload to YouTube because it would just get blocked due to copyright anyway, because we use real footage. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. I am confident that if you try it even for just 1 month for this WrestleMania season, that you're going to fall in love with the content and the community. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support. Now let's get you back to the video. Absolute cinema. From all the close calls, the swerves, and overall storytelling in this match were absolutely amazing. Definitely match of the night and a contender for the best match of WrestleMania weekend. I think that this was easily the best match of night 1. I felt like before this match started, the best match was Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. That was a great match in its own right, but this completely blew it out of the water, and I have a hard time seeing how any match in night 2 is going to be able to top this, because this really was the entire package, from storytelling leading into the match, the the fantastic in-ring work rate of the match, and then the awesome swerve that will fundamentally change storylines moving forward for potentially months or even years to come. I'm gonna just say this, and I'm going to treat it as a fact moving forward. I promise you I gave it some thought. This is now the greatest Night 1 main event in WrestleMania history, and this was so good that it was worthy of being the Night 2 main event. Again, from an in-ring perspective and from the big-ass swerve that we got. I honestly believe that if Cody Rhodes didn't have John Cena as his opponent, that I don't think that that would have been good enough to be the Night 2 main event after seeing what we got here. So if this was the Night 1 main event, if this was the swerve that we got in Night 1, I have to imagine that what we're about to get in Night 2, maybe not from an in-ring perspective, because I just don't see Cena and Cody Rhodes matching the work rate of what we got here, but from a storyline perspective and in terms of swerves and in terms of shock and awe factor, it might even be better than this. We'll have to wait and see. Jey had the worst match ending in recent Mania history. Sloppy finish to a sloppy feud. Sloppy feud, absolutely. Sloppy finish, I'm seeing a lot of people say that. I personally don't agree. I can understand why people didn't love the finish to this match, saying that it made Gunther look weak, but let's not forget that it was after a spear, 2 super kick, like 3 splashes, and then the sleeper hold. I know that the people that didn't like the ending are mostly hung up on the fact that it was an instant tap, but I kind of like the instant tap from Gunther because it really sold the brutality that Jey was laying on him, and we've seen Gunther insta tap out to Ilya Dragunov in a major match before when he dropped his NXT UK championship to him. I just don't think that the people that were dead set on Jey Uso being horrible and not being a good world champion were ever going to be bought by this match. I always felt like this match always had an uphill battle with that group, and that regardless of how good this match ultimately could be, that there was never any convincing those people that this could be good in any capacity. I felt like the match between Jey and Gunther was as good as it could be. I felt like this was Jey Uso's best match of his entire career, if you ask me, from a singles perspective, and this was just a run-of-the-mill Gunther match. I will say that. But for what it needed to be, the physical storytelling of the match, to me, I felt like it hit every note that it needed to, and more than anything, I felt like they made the right call in terms of having Jey Uso win. They couldn't have Jey Uso lose again and again and again, because after enough losses, people would finally get off of the bandwagon, and after having him win the Royal Rumble and get one of the quasi-WrestleMania main events, you couldn't pull the rug from under us again. We've definitely seen worse match endings. I have to disagree with that, but if you didn't like it, then I'm not going to really harp on you for it. The ending to the triple threat was horrible, made 0 sense, and it was a twist just for the sake of a twist. I feel like you're just trying to be different for the sake of getting onto this video, brother, because absolutely nobody agrees with you. This was not a twist for the sake of just having a twist. This was a twist that was absolutely built up to for numerous weeks. We even had a little Easter egg at the Hall of Fame ceremony where Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman were sitting next to each other. So for those that are really keen-eyed, you could have started to connect those dots. There's absolutely no twist out of nowhere here. This is absolutely a twist that you can connect the dots to. I still don't know that I love the twist. I'm here for it, and I'm willing to see why Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman are now aligned together, because I still don't think that that combination makes any sense, but it might not make sense right now simply because we don't have the full story, a full story that might come to fruition at the end of the Night 2 main event. So I know that this is your opinion, but I'm just gonna tell you your opinion's just wrong. I'm 100% convinced that Seth and Paul will join The Rock and Cena tomorrow. Seth and Paul will have a heavy focus on Raw going forward without having Cena and Rock there. This has been a heavy focus point for many people that do not want Cena to win number 17, and it's a point that I understand, that Cena is not a full-time performer, that having Cena be the big top bad guy of the WWE with the championship would be a tough pill to swallow if he isn't there every single week. Well, what if he is one of the champions, but there is another big top bad guy carrying the mantle while Cena is away filming movies or whatever it might be in the name of Seth Rollins? This could absolutely work. I 100% now see the vision. I see how Seth Rollins and Cena could coalesce together and join alongside The Rock to unite to take out the people that turned their back on the WWE, like CM Punk and Cody Rhodes at one point. Whatever narrative that they plan on telling, I'm seated for it, and it's going to be a narrative that is going to shape the wrestling landscape for the next 12 months up until the build up to WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. But Seth, Paul, Cena, Rock, Travis Scott, I guess I'm here for Corporation 2.0. I'm in. Logistical hot take: WrestleManias that take place in the West Coast host with an open roof take the aura away from the event. It legit didn't feel like WrestleMania until the sun fully set. I think it depends. I feel like a Jey Uso entrance a night would have hit just much harder, but I do get where you're coming from, especially when I look back at WrestleMania 31 and we had Bray Wyatt, Sting, and The Undertaker all have entrances in the daylight. That just didn't work. I don't feel like it was as much of a detriment based on the characters and the matches that we had to have a couple of the matches in the daytime. But do they look better at night? I have to agree with you. Biggest upset was Charlotte and Tiffany. I really expected it to be a quote bad build but good match situation. I was imagining a Charlotte versus Rhea WrestleMania 36 level match, but that was far from what we got. I'd give it a 3 when I was thinking it would be a match of the night. You and I are in the same wavelength. In fact, I was basically like beating the drum of this. I was one of the people that was cheerleading the fact that this was going to be an excellent match, even if the story was going to be bad. I was of the mind that Charlotte Flair is so egotistical that she wanted to steal the show and have the best match of the night, and in the process, she has to make Tiffany Stratton look good and ultimately give us a good match. That's where I thought we were going to land. That's where I thought we were always going to be, a good match. We've been fantasizing about this being a fantastic match for the better part of like a year at this point. Unfortunately, I felt like it was rather soulless, and just like on the mic, they just had no chemistry with one another. I did also feel like Charlotte Flair was missing a bit of a step. This is her first like real like full-length match since coming back from the injury, and she just didn't seem like herself. But more than anything, like these two just sort of felt like oil and water in that ring together. They were off on their timing. It sort of felt like they were at points just sitting around waiting to see who's gonna do what move. It was just an awkward match. Was it like the worst match ever? No, it absolutely wasn't. There's still stuff to like here, but in terms of what I was expecting and what frankly most wrestling fans were expecting, like you said, was a match of the night contender, and I think we have contender for arguably the worst match of the night. I actually just hope that we don't get Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton at the very least for the foreseeable future. Maybe give this a couple of years to be able to simmer down, go send Charlotte off to a different brand, go after different titles, mid-card titles, whatever it might be, but Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton, keep them away for the foreseeable future. Ray Fenix being on the card abruptly and taking the pin is dumb as hell. It's not dumb as hell, it's just the best available option, and I do think that Ray Fenix losing here, albeit not the best decision, because the best decision would have just been to have Dragon Lee take the loss here, I still think it gave us the best available WrestleMania-esque match. It would have been easier to put Dragon Lee out there to have a good match, to lose to El Grande Americano, and we would still be in the same result that we have with El Grande Americano standing tall and then still protecting Ray Fenix, but at least Ray Fenix got a WrestleMania match, dude. I think he's more happy about the fact that he got to have a Mania match over getting pinned. Like, I don't think he gives a shit. But I also think that Ray Fenix, being the one that got put into this match, had to lose because the storyline of El Grande Americano needs to coalesce and end with Rey Mysterio, which is why I honestly think that Dragon Lee was probably a better option here. But we got Ray Fenix in a WrestleMania match, and I will never complain about that. How long until Europe gets a WrestleMania? Because the crowd paid all of this money to be there, and they were like this half the show. I wonder what their excuse is going to be, because it's not going to be, it was too cold, it was too late. I know, like, there's no excuses. Like, this was just a bad crowd. The only thing that I can think of is perhaps the really like hardcore crowd that would actually go there and make some noise were just straight up priced out of this WrestleMania. The ticket prices were god awful. They were insane. And I feel like, you know, your typical families, groups of friends, maybe casuals that just want to go get drunk and make noise, they weren't going to pay these ticket prices to just go do that. So you priced out most likely the people that were willing to make a ton of noise. And I feel like what we got was a pretty soulless crowd. I know there's going to be people in the comments that will come up with the excuse that, hey, I was in the arena, we were actually loud. You weren't, all right? You weren't. All millions of us saw it. You were not loud. It was a bad crowd. There were actually matches that were good that could have been made like even better and considered great had the crowd actually been hot for it, like the Jacob Fatu match, which was excellent, the Naomi match, which was excellent, and the Ray Fenix El Grande Americano match, which was amazing, but the crowd was just seated. I can understand if the acoustics aren't great, but like it wasn't that you just weren't just making noise. Like you were sitting down for like the entire show. This was a bad crowd all around. This match definitely impressed me. I came into loving the story, but worried about the in-ring action. But if I said I was disappointed, I would be lying. This match was definitely great. This match was way better than I thought it was going to be. I actually agree with pretty much everything that you're saying here. here, I was a huge fan of the build-up, big fan of the storyline. I thought that the repackaging of Naomi as a heel was great. I thought that Jade Cargill and the lead-up was looking great. They had hit every single note. To me, this was the best built WrestleMania match, even though it doesn't have all of the glitz and glamour of titles or anything on the line. But I was nervous about an extended appearance of Jade Cargill in a singles environment. But honestly, I thought she looked great. But I do think she looked great because I felt like Naomi was the one that was guiding the majority of that match. This match was good because of Naomi, and Jade Cargill, to her credit, was a great dancing partner to the captain Naomi, who was guiding everything. I'm so happy this match was good. So happy that this match was good, because it would have been so disappointing for the build-up and the storyline and the characters to have been so good only to end on a whimper of a bad match. And I'm happy to say that it was a good match. My big hot take or prediction is that Becky Lynch will return as the one to replace Bayley, because I don't see why WWE would take out Bayley unless there was something big supposed to happen. I don't think that this is your big hot take or prediction. I think that this is what like literally everybody is predicting. To me, this is the only thing that makes sense. And I don't think that she is a much bigger star than Bayley to warrant removing Bayley from the card. Am I gonna pop for Becky Lynch? Hell yeah. I love Becky Lynch. If it ends up being Becky Lynch, I'm gonna be a little bit sour about the fact that we lost Bayley. If we do get Becky Lynch here, honestly, I hope it's a heel Becky Lynch. She turns on Lyra Valkyria, or maybe Lyra Valkyria turns on Becky, and we get a proper program between these two for the Intercontinental Championship, a program that all of us actually wanted it to be as part of the road to WrestleMania, but we never got, because we never actually got Becky back. I just don't think that this is a good enough alternative reward for honestly just ditching and dumping Bayley into the garbage. Tiffany losing / chipping a tooth was wild. Obviously, I'll never root for anybody getting hurt, because that probably hurt like hell. But to me, when she had her chipped tooth celebrating, I was like, hell yeah, dude. Tiffany Stratton is a bad mother effer. It might not be to the levels of the man Becky Lynch with the broken nose, with the blood all over the place, but I thought that the imagery made her look like such a tough person. She has like a welt on her head. She's got some blood, like she has like broken teeth. Like that to me is an image of somebody that went to hell, went to war, and came out as the winner. I thought it was a really cool image, although I wish that it didn't happen to her, because that, like I said, must have hurt like hell. Triple threat was better than Cody versus Roman last year. Ooh, I think this is an interesting conversation. I think that the answer is yes, it was, up until the final 5 minutes. I feel like the swerve of the triple threat is very good. It was a great story, narrative driven final 5 minutes with the stuff going on with Paul Heyman, but the stuff going on at the end of WrestleMania 40, like that is the stuff of legends. But if you just want to talk about the actual match between the advertised competitors, I do think that the triple threat was better than Cody and Roman last year. This CM Punk entrance brought back all of the fond memories that we had of him, made me emotional, and it was low-key the best of the whole night in my opinion. Yeah, this was absolutely amazing. I think that this was the best entrance of WrestleMania Night 1. I loved the fact that they were playing Fire Burns with this video package that kept switching from young CM Punk to modern day CM Punk, cutting the same promo. I thought that it was beautiful. It nearly brought a goddamn tear to my eye. And then the actual entrance from Living Color, those guys are still unbelievably amazing. They are such a good band. They sound so good live. I actually think that they were better than they were at WrestleMania 29, a live performance that, by the way, I had said was the best live performance of all time. So I think that this is now the new best live performance of all time. And then seeing CM Punk in the hoodie with Paul Heyman, it just brought back so much goddamn nostalgia. I love this entrance. I don't get the direction we're going with Gunther. His last two manias have been losses to quote underdogs who believe that they had no shot against him. Now he's tapping in 3 seconds, derails his character for me. Well, I do think that inadvertently you kind of explained what his direction is. His direction is to be the final boss of underdogs, which is kind of the role that Triple H took for a really long time. Triple H was a professional loser at WrestleMania. Triple H would lose time after time after time to underdogs, to up-and-comers, to youngsters, because Triple H was a great villain, and the best time for the villain to lose was WrestleMania. And I think that's the route for Gunther, and I know that they have a vision for Gunther, because otherwise they wouldn't have re-signed him the way that they did with frickin' tour bus. You say derails his character for you? I would counter back and say that he didn't have a good enough character to derail. I'm actually hoping that this might serve as a little bit of a reset of Gunther, because they were all over the place with Gunther as a world heavyweight champion. He went from confident to little bitch boy Gunther, to maniacal Gunther, to scare Gunther, to funny Gunther. They didn't know what they wanted to do with Gunther. I hope that we have a more clear path for Gunther moving forward from a character standpoint. But in terms of like his overall like usage moving forward, I think it's main event, main event, main events. Tomorrow night's main event better come up with something insane to top what just happened tonight. And I think that it's going to. I don't think that it's going to touch the main event of night one from an in-ring perspective, but I have to imagine that they have something huge up their sleeve with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Stand and Deliver was better than Mania. I mean, pound for pound, Stand and Deliver was better because there wasn't a single bit of downtime in Stand and Deliver. Every match in Stand and Deliver was either really good or delivered a really good narrative. Meanwhile, WrestleMania Night 1 did have some downers, but I listen, I think that the highest of highs was reached by that WrestleMania main event with the storytelling, even if the actual in-ring portion of the Stand and Deliver triple threat main event was, in my opinion, better. But yeah, this is just a win for wrestling fans. This Saturday was insane. Like a great Stand and Deliver, solid night one with an unforgettable main event. I watched so much wrestling this Saturday and it felt like it just flew by because of how good everything was. The end of a great partnership between these two. There'll never be another great duo like Roman and Paul Heyman. Could see Seth Rollins and Punk feuding for a while to then maybe having Seth versus Roman at SummerSlam this year. Yeah, I feel like it's an inevitable crash course to get Seth versus Roman Reigns at a big show, whether it's SummerSlam or hell, even WrestleMania. I'm sure that we're going to be getting Punk and Roman Reigns at some point as well. But this is something that not enough people are talking about. The end of this partnership, the partnership between the Wise Man and Roman Reigns, a partnership that catapulted Roman Reigns to where he is today. These guys walked out for WrestleMania main event since WrestleMania 37, and we just watched it implode. More people are talking about the fact that Seth is a Paul Heyman guy and not talking enough about the fact that Roman Reigns actually does not have his Wise Man anymore. Dragon Lee should have filled Ray's spot and not Ray Fenix. Ray Fenix's first WrestleMania should have been a win for him and not a loss to a comedy act like El Grande Americano. Dragon Lee got written off TV last WrestleMania, so it would have been a full circle moment if he filled Ray's place this year. Yep, like I literally do not disagree with a single thing that you said. I wish that they had found a way for Ray Fenix to have a different match and win. I still think it's good that Ray Fenix got his WrestleMania match. That's still better than not having one, but you had Dragon Lee right there, a guy that actually had more ties to the story of El Grande Americano by far than Ray Fenix did. And honestly, Dragon Lee losing would have been perfect. It would have been fine. But now, you know, with Dragon Lee being passed up again, because he got passed up by Rey Mysterio for Andrade, he got passed up by Rey Mysterio for Ray Fenix. If I'm Dragon Lee, brother, I'm questioning as to why I'm even partnering up and being friends with Rey Mysterio. This guy never goes to bat for you. At the start of the match, I was worried because it looked like Jey Uso had a hand injury, but wow, what a match they gave us. We saw the best in-ring version of Jey. I agree. I think that this was Jey Uso's best match. I am so happy that he didn't just come out with super kicks and splashes. This was an actual wrestling match, and I do wonder to like what degree this was done because of the criticism that all he does is splash and super kicks. This was the best Jey Uso match that I've seen. Again, an average Gunther match at best, but I am happy that he won the World Heavyweight Championship. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu was actually very interesting. I think LA Knight is constantly improving in his in-ring skills, and he delivered a good match today. You know, we just talked about Jey Uso's best match of his main roster career as a singles. I think that this was both LA Knight's and Jacob Fatu's best match of their career on the WWE main roster, if you ask me. This was perfect because I thought that this was going to be a squash match, that the goal here was just make Jacob Fatu walk out like a megastar, like a scary monster of the mid-card, and he did. He walked out as the scary monster of the mid-card, but in the process, not having to bury and squash LA Knight. LA Knight put up a fantastic fight. In fact, it's got me questioning of like, what should we do with LA Knight from here? Because he had such an excellent match here with Jacob Fatu. Do we see him as a viable maybe bridge for a Jey Uso feud, maybe in the main event for a bit? LA Knight came out looking very strong in a match where everybody thought he was going to get squashed. So to me, the fact that both of these guys walked out with higher stock than they had walking in, that to me signals a huge W for this. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Hot Takes. Again, we still have more WrestleMania to come, so make sure that you're following on X so you can submit your hot takes immediately after WrestleMania Night 2. But that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.